Of course, I always cough when we get started. Welcome, everybody. This is Dr. John Michael Salvato. You're watching the Peak Performance Blueprint, and we're a program, a community, a tribe, if you will, of folks who come together on a daily basis and take one small step, one shift in our mindset to improve the quality and results in our lives. And so today's topic is a topic that I'm going to warn you right up front might sound like it's pretty boring for about the first 5 minutes as I get started. But as we begin to unpack this and you start to apply it and think about it in your life, I think you're going to find that it was definitely worth the 20 or so minutes, maybe 30 minutes that we spent today, sharing this and talking about this. And just a reminder for everybody who watches this on a daily basis on the replay, starting tonight, I will be doing the teaching component, the mind shift component separately. That'll appear on the blog, and it will appear in our Google Plus group above the discussion. So what you'll want to do is tomorrow at about 5 minutes or 10 minutes before the hour, if you want to be here live, watch that little short video. Get a feel for what we're going to be talking about, so that when we jump in, we can start talking live, more of almost the feel of an internet talk show kind of thing, so that we can share more ideas and exchange more. And as this group starts to grow, that's going to become valuable for us because it means we'll hear from more people. So we're just really preparing for success. And speaking of success, today's topic is the simple formula for success. So a little background on that formula. It was 1981, and I had just shortly before that started working with a close friend of mine who started a wellness company, the first herbal nutrition company in this country, actually the first herbal nutrition company in the Western world. And it was a company called Herbalife International. The vice president of that company, who went on to become a very close friend of mine, was a guy by the name of Larry Thompson. And Larry got up on a Saturday morning when we had our trainings, and he wrote on the not dry erase board, the newsprint, people plus momentum plus volume equals check. And I looked at it and I wasn't impressed, and I thought, this is just really going to be a boring training topic for now. And my mind started to wander. And it wasn't until, because we repeated those trainings every month, and it wasn't until the following month that the light bulb went off in my head. And I've never really understood why in the direct sales industry nobody uses that formula. Instead, I've had sales leaders from companies that I was coaching say, well, let me explain to you our compensation plan and how you make money, and this 30-minute explanation would ensue. And I thought, wow, no wonder you're not having duplication. And the reason why I had such great duplication in my direct sales business was because I would meet with each and every person who came into the business, and I would teach them this formula. And I would say that, yeah, we've got the comp plan, and there's training videos on the comp plan, and if you're inclined to like stuff like that, great, have at it. But let me teach you how we make money. And I would teach them people plus momentum plus volume equals check. Now, if you're not in direct sales, maybe you're a small business owner, maybe you've got your own entrepreneurial projects. Let me tell you that this formula applies to you as well. So let's first look at it. The idea is that in order to market, to move any product, you've got to have relationships with people. And when you have enough relationships with people and you've cultivated those relationships, that's going to create momentum. There's going to be the more people that you're engaging with, the more people you're going to understand, the more you're going to understand what those people's needs are. And the more you understand people's needs, the more they're going to understand your product, and they're going to start talking to other people about it. You don't have to be in direct sales or network marketing in order to have people sharing your product and to leverage that mass, that crowdsource, if you will. Although network marketing was built on the idea of that happening. But you could be a small business owner, a restaurant owner, and let me tell you, if you own a restaurant, you know that your restaurant's not going to succeed if people don't leave your restaurant feeling good about your food and talking to others about it. Because if you had to wait for your restaurant itself to attract people in, unless you had the most killer location and massive amounts of traffic going by your doors every single day, then it's going to take too long for you to grow your following. And you're going to be losing profit all of those months that it takes to fill the restaurant. But if you get 5 people in your restaurant and they love the food and they bring 2 people each to eat at your restaurant again, and that continues to duplicate, within a month or 2 months, you could have a full house every single night. So that's the momentum. Volume is simply the result of talking to enough people and gaining momentum. So that volume is going to take care of itself. I have never in my life had to worry about achieving sales ranks by pushing my volume. I have some friends in this industry who would make themselves crazy at the last minute, the last day of the month, the last 2 days of the month, because they wanted to hit that next level, or they needed to qualify for director, or they needed to keep their qualifications for director, or whatever the case might be, and they would go insane trying to get that volume. Let me explain to you that if you focus on getting the right people, not people who expect you to do the business for them, not people who expect you to buy their products for them, not people who think this is a get rich quick scheme where you're going to sit there and open your laptop on the beach and money is going to pour out of heaven. If you get those right people in, the volume always takes care of itself. And the result of those 3 components, people plus momentum plus volume, equals your check. Now, that sounds good, and that sounds like a nice little philosophy and almost a slogan for your business, if you will. But how do we apply that in real life? Well, let's say that and I'm going to have to use a calculator for this because I suck at math. And I apologize in advance for people who panicked when they went to the website today, and the banner on our new web design shows up at the top of the blog, and it's a really slick, really beautiful look. And just because I'm a smartass, I put a really complicated mathematical formula on there. I have no idea what kind of formula it was because my partner is the one who's in college for accounting, not me. And there's good reason for that because we need an accountant. So let's say that, in fact, we're going to do this live. And Jen, if you have your microphone muted, go ahead and unmute your microphone. And we're going to do a little role play here.
Okay.
Okay. Let's go back to the days when you were in network marketing and give me a target of an amount of money that you want to make. And this, I want you guys to understand, this is the conversation I would have with a brand new associate in my team. And so take good notes, because if you do this with the members of your team, your business is going to explode. Give me your target goal for how much you want to make in a month.
$500.
Okay. Now, the next piece of that information that we're going to need, and then I'll tell you where they fall in the formula. The next piece of that information we're going to need is to know how much your product is and what the commission is that you get on it. So let's say that you have a $100 product, or let's say you have a $50 product, and you're making 10%. So that's $5 on the product. Or let's make this real. Let me do it exactly as I would do it. Now you as the leader would have to know your product and know the percentage. But Jen, we'll put this in terms of your old business. You guys sold a 25. Is it $25 or $26 wrap?
25.
Okay. And how much commission did you make on that $25?
I believe, if I remember right.
Okay. All right, because that'll make this a lot more realistic. Let's do $25 times 0.05. So that gives us $1.25. And I just close the calculator because I'm not only stupid with math, I am with computers. Here we go. All right, so now we know that Jen wants to make $500 and she makes $1.25 on every wrap that she sells. So we're going to divide 500 by $1.25. And that's going to tell me that she needs 400 customers to be making $500 a month. Now, of course, we're going to then talk about the idea of leveraging yourself, because I'm going to say, you know, Jen, do you think you could find 400 customers in the next month? She might say yes. She might be a salon owner. She might be a spa owner. But 9 times out of 10, she's going to say no. And I'm going to say, okay, so here's what we need to do. Do you think you could find 10 customers that are going to really love this product?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's schedule your first party, your first in-home or wrap session or whatever they call it, and get you those 10 customers. Because what's going to happen is those 10 customers are going to be excited, and we're going to give them an incentive to share this with 5 people. We're going to say, you know, Jenny, now I don't know, this might not be what you guys do and It Works, but if you don't, and you're from It Works, you should think about this because it works. But I would say, you know, to every one of those ladies that were there and guys that were there, I would say, hey, you know what, if we are thrilled to have you as a customer, and I know you're going to be thrilled with your results today, but let me tell you, the most exciting thing is that at the end of this day, you're going to have an opportunity to book a session with me where you can invite 5 of your friends to have a party with you just like this. And if those 5 people order their product, you're going to get a free month's supply of this product. Now I'm filling in the blanks on what you would give them. Maybe you give them a single wrap, maybe you give them whatever. But the idea there, you see what we just did was we had 10 customers. We tell those 10 customers, if you invite 5 people, okay, so now we have 10 customers, plus we have 50 customers, and so that's 60 customers. We're that much closer to the 400. When that duplicates another time, now you have 50 customers who invite 5, that's 250, plus 50 is 300, plus 10 is 310. Now you're almost at your goal. So here's how you apply that formula. And I apologize if that wasn't the clearest example that I could give of that, because I'm not a math guy, and you don't have to be a math person to use this. So figure out what your goal is, how much money you want to make, and then figure out how much money you earn in commissions on a single sale. And from there, you just work backwards. So if you want to make $500 and you make $1.25 per sale, you need to have 400 sales. In order to make that happen, you need to talk to massive amounts of people, and you need to get some of those people excited so that they begin to leverage you. So there's your people, and when those people start talking to people because they get results. Now, if they don't get immediate results with your product, then you might want to consider changing products. But in the example we gave you, the people are going to see a visible result with the product that's going to get them excited. So you strike while they're excited. You say, hey, who are the 5 people that you want to invite? Or maybe who are the 10 people that you want to invite? Because if you were able to get 10, why wouldn't they get 10? Now, if you have 10 people who invite 10 people, you've got 100 people. All right, so there's your people and there's your momentum. When those 100 people get excited and those 100 people invite 10 people, that's 1,000 people. Now, we know in the real world that all 10 of them are not going to have a party. All 10 of them are not going to get their 10, and those people that they invite aren't going to do it. Otherwise, Jennifer would still be in that company. You know, the reality is that it doesn't work that way, but the formula works. You'd have to stick it out with the formula for a long time. Now, I'm going to be sharing something with you guys that we're going to talk about in a minute as I wrap up today, that boggled my mind yesterday. And I'm going to just explain a little background on it. But so you've got the people plus the momentum. Momentum is always going to produce volume, and the volume is going to result in your check. So if you work backwards from that formula will work for you. I want you to know that for those of you that are members at the silver and gold level, you know, when we do your silver consultation, because your silver membership includes a business strategies conversation with me, one-on-one, we're going to talk about this formula. If you're a gold level member, you have the opportunity to book 30 minutes with me every single month, if you wish, and we can apply this formula to your business. We can work out an actual strategy for you to make this formula work for you. So that's just a little incentive for the people who are at the silver and gold level to really think about the potential this offers for you. So before I share this amazing concept of where this strategy is leading. And again, it's one of those things, this was part of the curriculum. And yesterday, without planning for this, because I usually start planning for the next day's talk, in the evening, yesterday afternoon, something happened to me that dovetails into this. It boggled my mind. It was a breakthrough that I have to share with you guys, and I have to do an entire session, entire training on this breakthrough, because it literally, it astounded me that I never saw this little piece of wisdom so clearly for 35 years in this industry, or for at least 30 years, because the first 5 years I was really learning. But I discovered that the reason, and I'll just give you a teaser, and we'll talk about it after Jen and I talk about today's topic. The reason that I was able to earn $26,000 a month with my previous company, the reason that I was able to succeed in network marketing for the past 35 years and be a top producer for 28 of those 35 years, had absolutely nothing to do with network marketing. It had nothing to do with any one of those companies, and it even had nothing to do with me. So I'm just going to leave it at that, because once I realized that I didn't need network marketing to duplicate that same level of success, and that's what I'm very excited about. And we'll talk about that on a separate training. But Jen, let's talk about today's topic. When you hear that formula, and we take that formula now out of the example realm, and we look at the realm of you as a publisher, what do you think about that? How does that excite you or motivate you as you now have a formula to figure out how many books you need to sell to succeed?
Well, from what I was just figuring out, I was just scratching it down. It's like, okay, I need to sell 150 copies to make 500 a month. Right on. I do need to share it more. Like, I've been sharing it with my Facebook friends, and I've been putting it on Instagram, and it's like, oh God, really? I do belong to several groups, abuse survivors, that kind of thing, and I'd never even considered putting it in those groups. There's thousands of people in these groups, and I didn't even think about it, because it's like, I don't want to be spammy. I'm so worried about my former image of going into groups and spamming and inboxing and all that I never anticipated. I've sold 30 books. Are you kidding me? I figured my mom would buy one, and maybe one of my friends, and that was it. And then I looked, and it's like, well, why am I not sharing this? So obviously the more people who know about it, you kind of gotta open your mouth. It's
Right.
just one of those things. So I'm definitely gonna put this into action pretty much as soon as we get off the call, and see what happens.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Or a couple suggestions, actually. What I would recommend is, and this will give you guys a little taste of what happens when we do our one-on-ones, for gold members like Jennifer on a monthly basis. Here's one of the things I would do is, in those groups, I wouldn't necessarily directly promote the book. I would indirectly promote the book. I would put a post on there today that says, I'm so excited. I want to share my excitement because my book, and then the title, was just published. And I really, and because I think this is something that you could honestly say, that I really want to thank the members of this group, because your support really gave me the encouragement and the motivation to write this book. And that's all I would post. Don't put a link there. People who want to get a copy will get in touch with you, or they'll say, or somebody will say, if you really want to kind of bump things up a little bit, if you have a close friend in the book, say, hey, would you mind asking me for the link? And that's that's always a way to kind of expedite things. But that's the first thing I would do. The second thing I would do is make sure that everybody who buys the book from you, that and what I did when I first published The Dharma of Compassion, like a million years ago. I think it was 8, 9, 10 years ago. No, it was 8 years ago. When I first published The Dharma of Compassion, was the first of the 8 books that I wrote that was in the internet era, so to speak, where I was actually using social media. My first 3 books were published before the social media really, before I really got it, before I really understood social media. My first 2 books, I don't think social media existed yet. But the Dharma of Compassion was the one that was the kind of the dawn of my starting to use social media for publishing. And one of the things I did was I built a mailing list out of those subscribers. So when somebody wanted to buy the book, they had to contact me. I never posted a link directly to Amazon. I never told them the title of the book so that they could go to their bookstore. And when it first came out, we weren't really in that. We were in, I think, 4 or 5 bookstores initially that I was able to go in and talk to the bookstore owner and say, hey, could you, contact the publisher, and for the first few months, they're going to let stores buy 5 copies instead of the required 25 copies in order just to get 5 copies in your store. Would you mind doing that? But here's what I did. I built that mailing list of people because every time someone bought a book, I sent them a personal thank you. I said, and by the way, I will be ordering your book too. It's probably going to be this weekend. I apologize. There's absolutely no excuse for why I haven't done it yet. But I'm just doing a million things, and I never get around to doing the fun personal things. But on the weekends, I'm not working, and I will by the weekend I will have ordered the book because I'm really looking forward to reading it.
I appreciate that.
So what I would do is I would send them an email, and I would say, hey, I really appreciate you doing this, and I would set up a Facebook group of your own that would support the book. If you look up Shunyata, the Transformative Power of Emptiness, you can see 4 or 5 years ago when I first published that book, how I set up this Facebook group, and only for about 90 days did I really focus on supporting the group. But you say, hey, I would really love it if there's anybody you think we can help. I've set up a group where we're going to talk about this book, and you're more than welcome to invite some of your friends, and just say, if you know 1 or 2 people, invite them, because I would really love to be able to share this information with them. And so what would happen is maybe 1 out of every 5 people shared the book, shared the idea with a couple people. And they share, you might do it as a group like that. You might, I don't think that in your case, your particular topic, it would be the kind of thing where you had a paid webinar or a paid event, but maybe that paid event, for one of your future books, and say, if you recommend me to 3 people, you can be part of this webinar where we talk about blah 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 blah. So use social media sort of as an incentivized promotional tool, so that you can get folks to start talking about the book. And Ita, welcome. I am glad that you're here. I'm sorry that your camera went off, but I hope that you get a chance to watch the replay on this, because I think there's some really good topical information about your business in particular that could be helpful. Are you were you able to hear the whole thing, or are you just getting in now? By the way, Jen, was that helpful?
Very helpful. Yes. As soon as we're done, I'm going to jump on that.
Right on. Ita.
Hi, can you? Yes,
yeah, we can.
I had to switch devices. I'm sorry, the other device wasn't working. I don't know why. Maybe an update or something. I really don't know why. So yes, I did miss the beginning. I'll go on it again tonight. I'll catch the part I've missed.
Sure.
Apologies for that. I kept trying on that device, and yesterday as well. I should have learned my lesson. No. But yes, sorry.
No worries, no worries. So I'll look forward to hearing what some of your thoughts are. As you watch that program, I think it's going to make some sense for you. And we shared this was a really good one. We got to share some really good, some very specific strategies and tactics around this topic. And the topic was the formula for success, and that formula was people plus momentum plus volume equals check. And so you'll get a really clear picture as you watch this. And then I promised everybody that in these last 5 minutes I was going to share just a teaser, and I'm going to do a whole training on this as a separate training, and it won't be. It probably won't be. In the context of a mind shift, because it's not. Well, it really is a mind shift. Maybe it will be. But here's something that happened to me yesterday. So yesterday I was having a very stressful day because we're launching the Blueprint or the Peak Performance Blueprint. We're launching the social media training. We're launching all of these different components at one time, and I've got the stress of this being almost maybe the third week out from having a regular source of income from my former network marketing company, and there's bills that I know are coming, and so it was a very stressful day. A friend of mine said, you're really stressed out, and there is a particular motivational speaker and entrepreneur who's doing a webinar, and I have 2 tickets to this webinar, and I'd love for you to come with me to the webinar. So I said, okay, let's check it out. And it was an online event, so I didn't have to leave the house. And I said, okay, I'm just going to unplug for a little bit, and I'm going to attend this webinar and see what happens, because I really liked the guy that was speaking. And as I started watching the webinar, it became very clear to me that what this guy was all about was selling a book. The purpose of that webinar, and that's okay. The purpose of the webinar was for him to introduce a young ingenue, if you will, of his, who is, just wrote a book, and they were promoting the book, and I thought, well, that's a great idea, Jennifer. There's another great idea for you. So you get somebody who actually has a following to do a webinar and feature you. Or if you can't get somebody with a following, we could always jump on Blab one afternoon, and we can do an entire episode of Blab where I interview you as an author, and we talk about that topic. So that's out there and available for you. We could talk more about that. But here's what happened. I'm watching the webinar, and the guy who wrote the book about this thing called the Circle of Profit. And I'll do a book review on the book, because I got the book, so the webinar was very effective. But during the webinar, they flashed a graphic on the screen, and that graphic changed everything for me. So let's back up now and go into my head and talk about what my mindset has been about my success for the past 28 to maybe 30 years. I believe that the reason that I made my first $300,000 in my first year in this industry was because Herbalife International was a great company. I believe that the reason that I was making $26,000 a month for so many years on average was a result of that company, whose name I no longer speak. I believed that network marketing as an industry was responsible for my being a 6- and 7-figure income earner for the last 35 years. And when I watched this webinar the other day, and so for me, it was kind of scary this last month to have made the decision that I'm done. I'm walking away from doing network marketing for now, and probably for good. And I'm just going to support network marketers and entrepreneurs and aspiring wealth builders. That was kind of frightening for me, because I was walking away from the industry that I perceived as being responsible for the lifestyle that we've enjoyed. And it was frustrating for me since 2008, when the Parkinson's got bad and I had my accident that shattered my arm and put me in such really bad health, because from that point on, my income never quite got back up to where it was. I wasn't even close to making $26,000 a month after the catastrophic illness and accidents, and then the chemotherapy and all that stuff. So it was frightening. Well, I'm watching this webinar that I would have never even attended were it not for a friend being compassionate, and it dawned on me that this graphic they were showing on the and the graphic, okay, so this graphic has these little icons on it that 90% of the people watching would have no idea what they meant. They would have to be super geeks, and if they were super geeks, they probably wouldn't be watching that webinar, because they would be programming or doing something nerdy like geeks do. Well, I happen to be a super geek, and so I recognized those icons And the icons he says, now when you buy the book, we're going to explain what this graphic means. Well, I didn't have to buy the book to know what the graphic meant. I didn't have to buy the book to have a major aha moment. I bought the book, and I bought the book for one reason, because I am so grateful for for that aha moment, that I would have invited the guy and the host of the webinar to my house for dinner because of this awareness. And like I said, I'm going to do a training on it, but just to kind of give you a nutshell version or a synopsis of what the realization was. This guy's graphic was about he's a medical school student, and he decided he was going to kind of play around with affiliate marketing and internet marketing, and so he wrote an entire book about how he was able to develop a $200,000, $197,000. No, I'm sorry, take that back. How he was able to develop a $20,000 a month income. So that's $240,000 a year. The host, who is a multimillionaire and very well known and everything else, is making $10,000 a month using this guy's formula, and they've only been doing it for about a year. But here's what happened. They built a mailing list, and the mailing list for the guy who wrote the book is 181,000 people. The mailing list for the host of the webinar is currently at 100,000 people. So 100,000 people translated into $10,000. This perfectly fit in with what we just talked about people, momentum, volume, check. And I've taught people momentum plus volume equals check for the last 30 years. But it never dawned on me that it was the formula that made me the money, not network marketing. It was the formula that made me the money, not the companies. And it was the formula that made me money, not me. It wasn't my skill, it wasn't my brilliant personality, it wasn't my crazy hairdos. It was the formula. And all of a sudden I realized that I could take any product whatsoever, and turn that into $26,000 a month. And I will, and I intend to prove that point in the next year to 2 years. But the reason I know that I can do that is because the formula has never failed me in 35 years in this industry. And so the idea behind it is, and we'll unpack this in a training, is you build the mailing list. That's where the focus is. See, at the height of my career, when I broke the $1 million mark, I had just started the world's first social network. And that social network, in 18 months, as you guys know the story and have heard it many times, I put in 358,000 people in the business by personally sponsoring 1,500 of them, or just under 1,500. But I had 358,000 people on my mailing list. And as a result of that, when my business partner, my now former business partner, and I, with whom I started that first social network, sent an email out, a newsletter out, in the very early days of what we know as autoresponders. I sent a newsletter out to people. I said, here, and it was just a regular email that went out first, and said, blah 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 blah. How would you like to switch stores, save 20 to 30% on the products that you order, and eliminate toxins from your home. And because 358,000 people received that email, we were able to begin a momentum that turned into about 100 people every single week joining our business. And because the next group of people that came in, I said, let's put together your mailing list. And we put together their mailing list, and we sent out that same letter. And when somebody responded to the letter, they went into my autoresponder. And these, like I said, this was the very early days of autoresponders. They were very crude. They were not, that you couldn't format them. They were just strictly text, because I don't think you could format emails back then. I think they were always just text. But these were simple text emails. And because enough people received my message, enough people responded. Because enough people responded, momentum began, and the momentum was responsible for $1 million income. And then I stopped and said, wow, this has been so freaking obvious, so in my face, so I'm foolish to have never noticed it before. Because my closest colleagues, they're not people who I'm necessarily friends with. We don't hang out. We haven't had dinner yet. But the incredible people in our industry like Diane and Jim Hockman, incredible people in the industry like Mike Filsaime, our folks, my good friend Vincent Ortega, they're all folks who built a mailing list. The company MLSP was all about teaching people how to build a mailing list, and it just so happened in my inspiration for putting together the Peak Performance Program that one of the first 3 topics that I focused on was building your list. And I really, just scratched the surface, because we're going to really focus a lot on building your list. That was the intention. I never realized why. I mean, we talk about the universe divinely inspiring us, and this is going to lead directly into tomorrow's Inner Alchemy program. Because when you allow yourself to stay in that moment, the inspiration comes, and the inspiration is freaking amazing. If this wasn't being saved in archive, it would be a different word that I use, not freaking. It is just astounding to me that because I was forced to stay in the moment, because there was nowhere else to go. If I stayed in the past, I was going to get frustrated, aggravated, and want to go smack my former business partner and his trophy wife in the back of their heads. So I couldn't stay in the past. If I projected into the future, it was too frightening. And so I didn't want to think about what could happen if I didn't succeed. So I stayed in the moment and said, what can I do today to advance the momentum of my business? And so as I opened myself, I thought, these are the 3 topics I need to talk with people about. I need to talk to them about identifying what their project or passion is. I need to talk to them about funding their project, and I need to talk to them about building their list. And fast forward 5 days, and 5 days later, I happen to be, quote unquote, sitting in a webinar where the guy just hits me over the head with the fact that, yeah, dummy, it is about building your list. And so I just want you guys, particularly you two, to know that at times, and so here's where I was the last 6 months or so in the network marketing industry. I love network marketing. I love the company that I was with. Excuse me. What I didn't love was the necessity of, in order for me to help somebody else succeed without taking away from my business, I had to get them into my business, because there's only so many hours in the day. And if I'm going to spend time training you and you're not in my business, now I'm taking away from my bottom line. And if I spend that time training you and you're in my business, now I've had to convince you to join my business. And that was a point of stress for me, because I have a lot of friends who are in It Works, because one of the company that merged with It Works happened to be a company where the founder of that company were Tom Schreiter, and so many of his key people are close friends of mine. So I really wanted to help those people that were in It Works. I have a lot of friends who are in Herbalife, and especially when the FTC, dropped the ball on them, or dropped the hammer on them last week and hit them with a $200 million lawsuit. And a bunch of my friends are in over in the UK are in Traffic Monsoon, and they just now got the FTC, hit the hammer on them yesterday, and all their accounts are frozen. So people who had thousands of dollars of checks that were coming in, bank accounts got frozen. And they're going to lose everything, and they're going to have to pay untold amounts of money back. So my heart was heavy, and I was stressed, because I want to be able to help those people. I want to be able to spend time with them, but I couldn't do that when I had to focus every month on at least enrolling 5 or 6 people so that I would keep the momentum going, so that I could find the people who didn't have their heads up their asses, who were going to actually duplicate something that was as simple as our previous business. And so it was stressful for me. Yesterday, that stress got completely lifted off my shoulders, because I thought that by walking away, now I just didn't even have a vehicle that I could use to train people that would benefit them and me. So I had to choose between benefiting other people and benefiting me. And when that choice is given to me, I always choose other people. It's just how I'm wired. As of yesterday, choosing other people will have proven to have been the smartest decision I ever made, because now choosing to help other people builds my list, and now I understand that I need to go back. I got so caught up in webinars and doing fancy videos and having great websites and blah 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 blah, when the simple solution was building a list. And here's how cool that is. Building a list, I already have a relationship with a company that provides entrepreneurs with basic landing page type autoresponder systems for $7, not $7 a month, $7 a year. And so I can help people who can't afford the $49 a month that I spend on GetResponse. I can help somebody to set up a kind of a basic program that'll meet their needs for $7. Who can't do that, no matter what their business is? So I'm really excited about that. I apologize I talked 15 minutes over today, but that will be the topic. In fact, I'm just going to make the decision that's going to be the topic of Monday's mind shift, because it was a mind shift for me, and we're going to move into that tomorrow by talking about what happens when you stay in the moment and allow that inspiration to flow. So, guys, thanks for being here today, and Ita, I'll look forward to hearing. Let's just count on Monday. You will have watched today's program, and on Monday we will talk about how today's program and Monday's program impacted you and maybe generated some sales for you over the weekend. Jennifer, thanks for sharing. I hope that's been helpful, and really and truly think about maybe let's plan a blab once I've gotten your book and had a chance to read it. We'll have you on as a guest on a blab someday. I'll be happy to set that up and help you promote in that way. So guys, stay in the moment, be grateful for what you've got, because you never know when that breakthrough is coming. And always remember, the best is yet to come. We'll talk to you soon.